So everyone, this is the second hour of our program, and if you've been here for our first hour, I just want to suggest that normally when you have a 4-hour program, we're gonna probably give you a break at the end of this session, if you will, because we know as Microsoft employees that when you have a full day of virtual experiences, it's actually helpful for your brain. It reduces stress. For you to plan for breaks. So that's one of the topics that we want to share with you today is just some of the lessons learned that we've found. But most of what we're going to talk about in my session is really about what are meetings. Let's think about what is a meeting. We tend to, at least in corporate life and maybe supervisory roles, leadership roles, analyst roles, all of your administrative employees may think of meetings as this type of event. You sit down in front of a computer, you look at a screen, you listen to something, you tell a story, you provide an update to a project. My session is really going to be helping you think about meetings in all the different contexts of how we can get work done. So let me just put my presentation in share mode. Let's 1 second. I need to share, and then Asita will help me make sure that's working. All right.
And then we're just gonna put your video here, and you're all set.
Okay, now that I'm in presentation mode, is it still showing up okay?
Yes, excellent.
PowerPoint. Okay, perfect. So a lot of times in, again, kind of carpeted space, knowledge worker roles, we think about having too many meetings, right? So I'm not trying to encourage you to have meetings for the sake of meetings. I really want you to think about when we meet, what are we doing as people? I love this picture because it really, maybe I'm nostalgic, maybe I'm old enough to have actually spent time around a water cooler or a coffee machine. But I feel like a lot of what we've missed in the last year and a half is this experience, right? We walk down the hall, or we run into somebody in a different building, or we are even just out, meeting with other people, and we run into someone that we haven't seen in a while. And so we've lost that ability to be as spontaneous as we used to be, and that we're not out walking around because of the pandemic. But I think that when we think about the use of Teams and the use of technology to recreate that sense of connectedness and curiosity and just the human aspect of how we live most of our day and want to be our best as an employee, and also get as much done as possible, as efficiently as possible. Because in my case, I'm here to help you think about when you have time that's saved, that's your time to use as you choose. I'm not here to say you can do more work. You can also get home on time, or you can spend more time with your kids, or you can get those chores done, or garden, or do pottery, things that are helpful to you as a person. And those will always help you also be better employees. So it does help everyone for you to take that time back for yourself and really just use it to the best use you feel is possible. Make choices with your time. So the meetings we're going to talk about going through the next few minutes are literally about thinking about where am I, how can I get what I need to get done as effectively as possible, and as in a way that is balanced and makes me happy. Personally, I love to learn. And so I have found that a lot of the meetings I'm attending lately are virtual sessions that either pre-recorded, or I'm tuning into an instructor-led session like you're doing today. And again, thank you for being here. So how can you make a meeting, think of the meeting as a learning opportunity, thinking of meetings as opportunities not to just on the compliance and quality topic. For example, how do we meet at the point in time that we need to get a signature or get a decision or an approval made, so that we can be done with the work and not have to go back and redo that through the reporting process. From a leadership perspective, how how can we provide decisions timely so that things continue to stay rocking and rolling, that the whole course of business continues to move forward as quickly as possible. And obviously in your domain, and in our team only works with cities, counties, and states. And so when we think of business progress, we're thinking of better citizen services. We're thinking of keeping people safe, providing all of the support that you give the community, and so and all of the distribution of programs and that kind of thing. So I'm not thinking of traditional business practices when I say that, or anything for profit. The last thing, let's just go through a couple of specific situations. So these are all examples of meetings. And what I'm going to kind of structure this time with you to do is think about when we need to meet on the fly, when we need to meet right away, or when we didn't know we needed to meet. And maybe it's with one person or maybe a few people. What's the best way to do that? The majority of our meetings, at least in my lifestyle, are planned meetings to some degree. In fact, I think each of my colleagues and I would say we live by our calendars. So it's a little bit over the top when we think about how planned our time is. So if we don't plan in advance, it's very difficult for us to find time to just spontaneously meet. But we still love to meet with our customers. So please do feel like you can ask anytime. It's just a matter of we just may have to juggle a few things. But customers always take priority over internal meetings. That's also an unstated rule. And but I would just say that as technology employees, we're pretty focused on our calendars, and most of our life is planned. And then we have kind of a specialization on planned and recurring, in that these are the routine meetings that people need to have. And we'll kind of go into this in greater detail, but there's some special techniques for making those even more easy to manage and productive over time. So again, cities, counties, and states, each of us will say that we've all spoken with people who have said, we don't have a policy for mobile workers. We don't reimburse for internet. We don't want our employees working off the clock, and we completely empathize with that position. However, when we speak with people in the field, we see them using unauthorized tools, taking pictures with personal phones, storing those pictures on personal devices, and they really don't want to be working in that way. They're not enjoying having those photos on their phone. They wish they could get off of WhatsApp or iMessage or Facebook Messenger. Goodness gracious, let's hope not. But I have seen programs running on WhatsApp that was not paid for by the agency. So I'm here to say, policy or no, funding or no, your people need to be able to work in the field. And what we offer them as Microsoft is the mobile app that is free to download, that they've probably downloaded the free Outlook app as well if they want to check HR or want to check their email at all. The licensing structure for first-line workers, typically if you have an F1 license, does include the right to use Teams for no additional charge. So anything I show you today is available within a typical, even a low-cost license. So when you think about meeting, the main thing I'm trying to help you with here is include those people out in the field, because a lot of them are driving miles and miles to get to a home office or a hub where they're going to look each other in the face, maybe with a mask on, get ready to go out and do that job, and then drive 10 miles or 20 miles back to the job site. Those organizations that are virtually kicking off in the morning are spending an hour on work versus an hour on traffic. So that's just one quick productivity hint that we would love for you guys to think about, is how can I do my morning stand up? Now we see it in IT quite a bit, actually. For those who are in technology or in any kind of program where you're using agile practices, we have documented evidence that stand up meetings first thing in the day. What do we have to get done? What might be blocking us? Do we need any decisions? 15-minute meetings. That increases productivity for all. I mean, I can follow up with you if you need any data to prove that, but just having that touch base in the morning can be a super time saver, because you spend 15 minutes knowing what the big rocks are and making sure people are focused on that, and then they also, the managers and leaders, know what they need to clear out of the way in order for the work to get done. The other use case or the scenario that is super productive and very painful all the time is construction related work. So first of all, geolocating something is difficult. Documenting that the crew, let's say we're in a water scenario. Again, I happen to work with the water department pretty closely, and on a routine basis, you know, we have pipes that need to be replaced, whether it's maintenance or break fix. We have third-party contractors that are going to go out there and do that work. I'm sure you have this in road construction as well. Where is it located? Did they get there? Have I met the person? Is the site what it said it would be? Is the hole dug correctly? Is it recover? You know, have we made the repair? And then the third party that comes back in and repairs the concrete once the pipe has been replaced. All of those steps are meeting people, calling people, you know, exchanging an email, maybe right now, texting probably. With teams, you can create a team that would give them all of the work instructions, allow anyone to put a photo into that team. And then if they need an approval, they can turn on a meeting, do an impromptu meeting, and show visually screen share, just like you would do FaceTime with your kids or you know, anything fun like that. Teams can be just as fun for work. And securely take a video or get a verbal approval that the work is complete. So I don't know how much time you would estimate. In fact, if you want to put in the Q&A, if anyone has an idea of how much time it typically takes you to do that end-to-end process and where the opportunity might be to shave off some of that time, we would love your feedback on, does that sound like a valuable scenario for you? And again, I'm not trying to underestimate the importance of policies for the people using these tools, but there may be a business case as well for giving them some internet funding to use their personal phones if you find that you're saving hours and hours by using these tools. The other scenario that I've also been involved in, before I joined the state and local government team, my background was in oil and gas, and which is also why I love all these construction scenarios. But in oil and gas especially, you really need eyes on the job. And a lot of times the eyes on the job are not the expertise that you have in the field. So whether it's welding, whether it's the crew boss, and again, I'm extrapolating because I know you're not drilling oil wells in your business, but my point is you need specialists. So the request expertise in the field, that could be, again, someone who has senior leader authority to make a decision. That could be someone who literally has the knowledge to say, do this or do that, or go look at that reading, or go, you know, turn that valve, or stop work on the job. So again, using a meeting to request expertise is another scenario for meetings. And then that could also be a consult in the healthcare domain. So I don't want to leave out all of our social work and healthcare scenarios that I know you all deal with very broadly, child protection, you know, just general Department of Human Services scenarios. Many of my clients have really been excited, and I can't say this too positively because I wish that the reason we're doing this wasn't due to COVID, but COVID has forced or has allowed field-oriented workers to be more digital. And so the time that they are able to spend with clients, even though they're not in person, allows them to see more clients so they can prioritize those who really need the in-person contact and make more home visits, or have a follow-up on a healthcare related question, do more training for well women, in the WIC department, for example, we have breastfeeding training that is happening via mobile apps, and the clients are just so happy that they can be met in their home, they can get their questions answered right away, and the babies are just really thriving for that. So but we don't want to leave out the senior leaders, because everyone knows that, you know, we need to show results. And one of the most, I guess, practical mobile examples that a senior leader gave me recently is he likes to join his own kind of team calls. So first of all, they'll set up, you know, kind of a regular cadence, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But he likes to join from his phone because he may be, and this is either audio or via the link. So, and I'll talk about that for just a second. But what he's able to do is juggle his meetings more effectively, so he can always be on time to his different meetings. But he's also able to go seamlessly from the mobile app on his phone to the desktop app if he can't be in the room, for example, driving somewhere. Again, all of us have additional responsibilities with kids being out of school. So maybe you're coming in from dropping off your child or taking them to some neighbor's house. You can still be on the meeting at the time that it starts. The other thing about leaders using the Teams mobile app is all of the content beyond the meeting is still available as well in the app. And so when you need a quick approval, if you need a chat, if you need a Power BI report that you need to see all the time, anything's red, yellow, or green, all of that's available to both first line workers as well as senior leaders. So just think there's a lot of opportunity in the topic of mobility that has not been tapped by our state and local government customers, even though you have the licenses and you have the use cases that really benefit from them. So this is kind of the meat and potatoes of meetings. What I've included in the visual here is one of our traditional trainings. You know, this isn't my training, but I just felt like this kind of had the mood of the training sessions I used to sit in when we were all in person. And if you've worked with me directly, then you've probably had me ask you, may I please help you with some free instructor-led virtual training. So meetings aside, Microsoft has an extensive program called our Customer Success Training that is available to anyone here on this phone call to offer your end users training on all of our products. So we've scheduled quite a bit of meetings with you all to set up training programs. In some cases, our customers have taken advantage of that and asked that they could record from their side, and then that became custom content for their learning and development organization. So that is an open offer. Please feel free to put your name in the Q&A or let us know if you have an interest in following up on scheduling more instructor-led virtual training sessions. They're 1 hour. We have a whole catalog. I can actually upload give you a link later. But just imagine any topic that is a tool within Microsoft 365 and or accessibility that Michael was talking about is one of our courses. We have courses in breakout rooms specifically because we know that's a little bit tricky. So wasn't planning to pitch the training services, but I do think that of all the tools my customers have used in the last year and a half, especially as end users really need help, that has been a very valuable free service that we would love for you to take advantage of. The other message here is that when you plan a meeting, whether it's externally, so citizen-oriented or internally oriented, we know that you have challenges with device updates. Browsers are just as effective as a Teams client for joining a meeting. There are some things that browsers can't do when you're managing a meeting, or there's some features that are just easier to see that they're available, but for the 95% of the features that are available in our desktop app are also available in both the Edge and Chrome browser. And the other topic I wanted to share on the idea of browsers is if you have multiple tenants in so if you're a state, typically we see 3 or 4, or California has 100 tenants probably. Everyone, depending on how unified your IT infrastructure is, your agency may or may have it may be part of a shared group. It may be on its own. And so when you interact with your colleagues who are still state employees, but they have their separate tenant, one of the tricks for making meetings easy, being part of their team, is to sign into their tenant in a browser, and you can kind of leave that as its own little window to that part of the organization. But what the main thing I wanted to say on the topic of browsers is that when you schedule a meeting, you should always feel that end users, especially citizens, should be able to join your meetings because we have so many ways for them to join. There's no requirement to use the application. So any link, the Teams meeting link that is provided should open in an Edge or Chrome or even a Firefox browser, depending on the operating system. The other thing I just wanted to say on this topic around planned meetings. So again, we're distinguishing these are the meetings we put on the calendar, and I think that program management is probably the function that has the most meetings as part of their day in the life. We do see our customers using the team structure with a predefined number of channels sometimes that match the topics or the level, the life cycle possibly of a channel, of a project. You can design it however you like. But if you take the team structure, which is the file sharing mechanism and the place where you would have your conversations, and think of that as kind of the collection point or the meeting place, then your content can all be, your files can all be in that location. Your reports on progress can all be there. And then you have occasional meetings depending on the scale of your project. So that's just another way to think about meetings in relation to the use of Teams. Is it's not just the meeting, it's about the progress that you're making. So we really want really want you guys to make progress. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, just because there's several questions that are coming up.
Oh, please, no, please.
In regards to your mention for training,
yes.
I understand that's the store training maybe that you're referring to.
Yes. Customer success training.
You want to let the audience know how they can go about finding more information about that.
Okay, so if you do not know who your customer success manager primary contact is, so I am a customer success manager for the state of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, and some of the North Texas, as well as Travis counties. If you do not know who your customer success manager is, please just give us the name of your organization and we will find out who that person is for you. We collaborate with the store. So when Microsoft closed all of our brick and mortar locations, and we kept all of the employees who are continuing to provide nationally oriented and community oriented training. So this is even beyond you as a customer. We are open to training nonprofits and schools. And so if you just want more information, your customer success manager is the best first point of contact. Was there another question?
No, that one kept on repeating, so thank you.
Oh, great. Well, we're so excited that you don't know, or, if you didn't know about that, please take advantage of it, because again, I not to, share my weaknesses, but I think a lot of times Microsoft is viewed as a partner to IT and not directly partnering enough with the agencies or the business users. And I think that as customer success managers, our mission is to help end users feel comfortable with the tools you have and rethink the way you're using technology to rethink your processes. So the more we can help you be modern and be comfortable, all of these tools are available to you as long as you just let us know you have the time and the desire to take advantage of them. The last kind of specialty I'm going to share, and then Stacy's going to, so just so you know, between myself and Stacy, the next presenter, she's more of your demo person. So you are going to see some of these, like how to get this done in the next phase of our program here. But one of the techniques that we've found, especially for these recurring meetings that are internally focused and have the same audience, meaning the audience is naturally designed for the team. So if you think of the largest team, and Saita, this may have changed lately. I know it used to be 5,000. Has it gone to anything greater than 5,000 yet in the government tenant?
25,000 members in a team.
For this, the maximum team size is 25,000 now?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, that means pretty much everybody I work with can make a single team. Georgia's a little bit bigger than that, but still. So if you have fewer than 25,000 people in your organization, you may create a public team that can be the bulletin board, the big old water cooler and coffee spot for everything that's happening in your organization. And that may sound a little scary to some of you, but I really feel that most of the people I work with need executive communication. They need to know what's going on, especially as we transition back to work and kind of have that sense of what's happening next. So the more you can find places for people to receive information, you're really going to minimize your turnover. We are seeing some turnover happening now that things are opening up. You've always struggled with hiring people, so that was no new thing. I'm just saying, take advantage of these techniques, because especially new employees may come from other places where they've already been used. And just establishing a team where people can meet on topics, regardless of meetings. It's a community builder, and that is a place for you to fill, to share your culture, to build a culture, and to become more, to just harvest the creativity that comes from your employees. The other thing I would say is that when you create that kind of a team, then you can schedule a meeting in a channel, and we like to organize information in channels, but if you haven't created a team before, the first channel you get with every team is a general channel, and you can always add more channels. So think of it as like a subdirectory in a folder. Those can be topical, those can be regional. It just really depends on what your team is all about. They will always, the information in every channel is always available to all members of the team. It's just a matter of where do I care to focus? So it helps me as a participant say, oh, I don't really care about, California stuff. If my team is Texas, then I'm going to go look at Texas or Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia. The other way I've seen people use ongoing teams channel design is actually for champions communities. So one of my best examples, I'm going to give Austin a shout out because they created a Tiger team 2 years ago, I think. It's been a while. And the beginning of this Tiger team was just volunteers who wanted to learn more about technology and how could they apply it back to their agencies. So these are people coming from the agencies working with IT as a central, just a unified team across all these different 40 plus departments. And David Gottlieb, who founded the team, created a channel for every topic that they learned about in their informal 1 hour, 2 hour meetings that he was able to teach. And in our case, our store training can also provide you some support if you want to create something like this. But when they have their meetings, they create their meetings in the channel, because then the conversations that happen around each meeting. So, the Parks and Rec department modernized their form for high school students to be able to, and these are at-risk youth who are coming into libraries or the city to fill out a form to volunteer during the summer. They were able to put that on the web, make it digital, and make all of the review of those applications done through Teams. And that was through the Tiger team that helped them do that. So when you think of a group team, doesn't have to be 50,000 people or 25,000 people, excuse me. It can be 25 people, but when you have a channel meeting, it's because you want everyone in that team to meet on a regular basis. And then the channel will also keep all of the chat from each meeting in that channel. So you can go to one place and know where someone said something or a link was shared or a file was shared. The other classic example, and I'm going to give Georgia credit for this, but I'm sure many of you have the opportunity to do this. This 300-page binder or some reference set of information that if I was in oil and gas, it was the field office security practices, right? Or the procedures for, goodness gracious, if we had a spill, what to do. So that was back in an office that was not even physically somewhere I could go in the field. And I'm pretty sure you have that scenario as well. This is an idea that is not only meant to help you maintain this virtual binder better, it will do that. So creating a team that is centered around who are the authors, who are the approvers, what is the reference, the first version of this new binder, if you will. And then you have a second location where you're publishing. So maybe you do make it available in that 25,000 person team because it's corporate knowledge and people need to know what the security policies are, what to do in a certain situation. or it's a separate operations team. But my point is, you don't have to mix those who need to see the document with those who are creating and maintaining the document. But in this case, they have regular reviews of here's the information, do we approve? They republish the document. I don't know if you've ever, I'm old enough to have received, and maybe this still happens in your situation, you know, the mail that arrives with the 3-hole binder, you know, take this page out and put this one in, that's still happening. So the more you can create that spirit of always improving, and then also give people ways to view these documents. So again, that team is on my mobile app. I just go to the channel, I pull up the file, I look at the work instructions, and now I have the most up-to-date version of how to repair something correctly, or report an incident, or who to call in this situation that's really urgent. So just think that there's a lot of potential in these scenarios. And we call them meetings because the meeting platform is what allows you to make sure that this work is, you know, continuing to happen. But it's not a meeting, it's just the way you get work done. So think about, you know, getting comfortable with the Teams platform so that you can really just do your work differently and save people time and get your job done, you know, in a better way, and feel more rewarded too, because you guys are working really hard and we really, really appreciate what you're doing. So let us help you make it as easy as possible. It really doesn't have to be hard. I think that's pretty much all I have. I know that Stacy is really excited about sharing how some of this stuff gets done in terms of giving you the skills to put these meetings together. Were there any other questions before we shift gears?
There was one question on the differences between the web and the client. I did share a link that kind of points out what those differences are, and that is on the published Q&A list, so you should be able to see that. Stacy, do you see any other questions that Laura can address?
No, I didn't see any ones directed to Laura's content specifically, but we did have and take several notes of folks who want to be connected with their CSM so they can talk more about the customer success training program. So nice job, Laura.
Thank you. I just want to say one last thing on the links. If Saita, I can share it after, or if you had already shared it, we definitely want you to, some organizations, some IT organizations do not push the applications when they give you your right to use Office 365. They guide you to start from office.com. And so we have the download links for you if you'd like to download either the Teams app or the mobile app. And then also there's a video that I'd love for you guys to watch on first line worker scenarios, and it goes far. There are a couple things. There's only like one tiny thing that is not available yet in GCC in the whole video. It's a 15-minute video. I thought it was really valuable to think about, like, how can we rethink the role of everyone who works outside of the office. So I'm also going to put that in the chat after I hand off to Stacy. So thank you again for your attention, and I hope this gave you some new ideas on working differently.